So the good brother Malcolm Jamal Warner recently had some choice words about hip hop. He called it anti-black. But is he wrong? Also, is that what he said? Now, the clip in question comes from Monica Pearson 101, his recent interview with her on her TV show, talking about various aspects of his career, including poetry and hip hop, and looking at the differentiation between the two. Here's my thing. There have been a lot of choice words as well on social media that I've been seeing from certain journalistic, hip hop spaces and all these different things. And here's my problem that I personally have with social media conversations and, to me, the death of critical thinking. Let's take a look and I'll come back and talk about it more.
The success of hip hop is predicated upon being anti-black.
Explain. Expound.
When you listen to the hip hop that gets the exposure, right? Conscious hip hop isn't getting exposure. The messages in hip hop that get the exposure are misogyny, murder, mayhem, and disrespect of fellow black people. Right? That's not all of the hip hop that exists.
Right, but that's what mainly.
That's what gets. Yeah, like you can't have a popular hip hop song without using the N-word.
Or calling women horrible names.
Yeah. It's like our black music has somehow become anti-black, and it's been so normalized that it gets right by us.
And it just did with me.
Yeah, the conditioning, the programming it's so powerful. Like in all of my poetry, I constantly talk about my love-hate relationship with hip hop. Right, but when those of us who are hip hop purists and we talk about how the younger generation, the hip hop is trash, well, we're complicit in that because the younger generation grew up watching us and listening to us listen to what we listen to. The content isn't different. The skill set may not be as great, right? The execution may not be as great as it was artistically, but the content really is the same. And most of that content, to be black music, again, is really, a lot of it's anti-black.
So again, here's my thing where I say the critical thinking, critical analysis is something that's just become a lost art. Whether it's legitimately a lost art or people are choosing this for sensationalism, for clicks, for views, bait, all that stuff, whatever you want to call it, to just get more people in tune with your conversation. To me, I just find it really dangerous, the era we're in of journalism. I mean, there's always been like tabloids and things like that, but really when the lines of full-on journalism are getting blurred, when folks have access to just anything to speak, like I got access to this, right? And to share thoughts. To me, I think it's important for us to have critical analysis of certain situations, understanding context, understanding what is actually being said, taking the time to receive it and process it instead of being the first to talk about it. I feel like there's a need that's growing of like, let me be the first to say something, let me be the one within the hotbed topic. For all you know, this could, even me speaking on this right now, can probably consider late because it's a week. I don't really care. But what I'm speaking to, it really is, it's because it's important to me, is being truthful and being authentic and being understanding and taking time to actually do analysis instead of demonizing people for quick hot takes or half a clip with like no full context of what's actually being said. So pretty much a piece of this clip has been shopped around for what I've been seeing. And even in the piece of the clip, it bothered me because of the commentary of he's wrong and you can't say that hip hop is like this. He didn't. He made clear distinctions on what type of hip hop lends itself to this essential anti-blackness that exists, and a lot of that hip hop is fed through the mixture of anti-blackness, of white supremacy structures that curate this type of entertainment for us, that make these the messages that we receive in our particular communities. These are the folks to look at. These are the top-notch folks. These are the people that we should herald as our celebrities. These are the people that essentially become, by virtue of this exposure, representatives of our community, and unfortunately for a lot of people, considered as quote-unquote leaders in our community, which is just another thing in and of itself, which also the good brother Malcolm X spoke about, around how entertainers and folks get to, and these folks, particularly in the Black community, are utilized as the leadership people, the people we should be looking to for any type of thought processing, thought leadership on our social landscape, on our human experience. And I think it's a grossly unfair inequity in reality that we're dealing with. So to find fault in what he's saying rather than analyzing what he's saying, and in my personal opinion, I don't think that any deep analysis needed to be had with what he was saying, because he was able to clearly express the nuance of what he was talking about. So I just think, so for me, I think it's important for us to really deal with contextualization, really deal with critical analysis and thought, and that being more shared in these particular spaces, because there's a lot of trash, a lot of miseducation, a lot of misinformation, a lot of ill-informed points that are shared across social media, and that, again, demonize folks that are standing in good intention, which, again, in and of itself is an aspect of white supremacy when it comes to Black and brown voices. Like the good brother Malcolm X said, if you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating the people that are being oppressed and loving the people that are doing the oppressing. We have to be cognizant of the ways we're weaponized against each other, the mechanisms that are put in place in our social landscape to keep us in a divisive space, no matter what the topic is, whether it's hip hop, which was largely used, yes, there's party moments and how it started, but also largely used as a voice box of messaging of the struggles of the people as well, in our communities. But of course, it's grown to be an all-out conversation of what the Black experience is, from the party to the struggle to daily life to everything in between, ideally. So yeah, just wanted to speak on how something like this particular soundbite from the good brother Malcolm Jamal Warner can be completely misconstrued, even by our own community, even by our own people, even by our own practitioners and participants of the culture, of hip hop music. And it's important that we take time with what we want to do and be honest with what we want, how we want to share our messaging, and how we want to share our platforms, how we want to utilize our platforms, and how we talk about each other. And because it's so important, no one's above criticism, but you have to be actually critically analyze what's happening, because misplaced criticism is a recipe for false destruction of a people, of a person, especially if they mean well. So that's my particular take. Let me know if you think. Shouts out to the brother Malcolm Jamal Warner and what he's doing with his podcast and sharing more and more of his thoughts and speaking on the culture, speaking on the Black experience in the way that he has, and all those that speak up in the face of what's being spoon-fed and propagandized to us as what we should be experiencing and how we should be living. So, one love, peace.